Hi there, I'm Greg Sweetosh from Fortex Software, and today I am going to be giving you a whirlwind tour of Integrity Detective, or as we like to call it, ID. Now, I say whirlwind because ID is packed full of features, and we're only going to take a very quick look at some of these today. Now, what ID does is monitors files and subsystem parameters on your system to make sure that if they change, you know that they've changed. It's highly configurable. You can monitor basically whatever you want. Choose what you want to monitor very, very quickly. So if we jump right in, the first thing is file integrity monitoring. Now, this is obviously a requirement of PCI DSS, and you can see here we have all of our, firstly, all of our volumes are listed. If they have files that are being monitored on them, they will show as blue. If they have watched subvolumes on them, so that's subvolumes that are being watched for any files that might be added or removed from the subvolume or so on, then that's what we call a watched folder. And so we can see, for example, this AAA test 1 subvolume here is both a watched folder and it has files underneath that are being monitored to see if they've changed. Now, we monitor using SHA-256 and also last modification timestamp, and you have the capability of configuring when you want to check for each of them. Right, so we also have OSS that's fully supported here. You can see the same concept. We have watched folders and monitored folders in here. Just the etc. one itself is a watched folder with all of these files that are in here being monitored. Our list of watched folders then is over here, and that's what we have. These ones down here in OSS and these ones up here in Guardian. Now, we also monitor subsystems, and the reason that we do this, the subsystems we monitor are Pathway, NetBatch, persistent processes in ZZ-kern, and so on. The reason that we monitor these is because it's all very well to monitor files to check that they've changed, but if you're monitoring, for example, a Pathway program and or a Pathway server, and the program has changed, then it doesn't matter that you're monitoring the initial program. It's no longer what we're running in our Pathway. So you will want to be monitoring your Pathway servers and make sure that the programs that they are configured to run are what you actually think they are. Likewise with NetBatch for the in files. Obviously, if the in file of a batch job changes, you're no longer necessarily running whatever you think you are, and the in file will obviously execute, or the batch job will obviously execute anything that is in the in file as the particular owner of the job. And if that's super or a other privileged user ID, then that can be significant. Same for persistent processes. And then other subsystems that we monitor as well. We monitor safeguard. So here we have users. I won't go through all these individually, but disk files is subvolumes and volumes, and processes, subprocesses, and so on and so on. Safeguard groups, object types, SEEPs, and so on. And then we have as well SSH we monitor. That's obviously something else that you need to make sure that you have tied down securely. And we also have this feature in here, COM programs. So you can actually configure in here any program, the parameters from any program that has a command line interface such as DRNet or Shadowbase or something like that, you can actually monitor in here. And we're not going to do that one right now, but there's also a very extensive help feature. So if you hit F1 at any place within the GUI, this is a little hard to see. I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure I can do much about this at the moment, but you will see that it just brings up information about that particular subsystem or whatever panel you're in. Now our welcome screen here, we've got a tree that shows shows the system that we're on and all of the different things that we are potentially monitoring. Now I'm going to change some things and we will see how ID picks them up. So I've got, if you recall, this was a watch subvolume, so I'm just going to create a file here called FFFFFFF. Right, we're going to do that. I've got another monitored subvolume here, GS test, so I'm just going to modify one of my files in there, DEF. Okay, this is still a test file. Okay. And I'm also going to change my pathway. I'm going to add my own server in here. I've got a little server that I'm just going to add. So this may be legitimate or may not be. So you can see I've just added this server here, hack server. And it could be doing anything. It's obviously going to run as the pathway owner, which could be our application owner, could be super user or some other privileged user ID. And I'm also going to modify one of my batch jobs. If we have a look at this actually. So you've got, in a real customer environment, you'll obviously have many batch jobs. I've got a mock-up job here for like base 24 reconciliation reports, for example, and that's running, you know, some particular report out here. But if someone were to come and change the in file, then this is going to run as my base 24 owner whenever it next runs, and that could be doing anything as that owner. So I am going to change the in file of that job. Right, now ID takes a little bit of time to loop through the different subsystems and files, but you can see it's already picked up. My FIM file has changed. If we go in here, it's already showing us that I've added this file, FFFFFFF, and we have a failure here in the fingerprint. If we go and, oh, you can see my watched folders is now also picked up. So if I click on that, it will take me there. It again is telling me that I have a mismatch in my subvolume here because it's not the same as it was, and obviously the FIM files shows us what it was. So if we look at the transition history, we can see that this mismatch has occurred. Right, so if I go to NetBatch, then again it's going to show me that it has failed. It's going to identify that something looks like it could be wrong here, and so the date that my NetBatch job was last altered has changed, and we can see here the in file has changed from pro1 reps.env38 to Greg's set of commands, whatever they might be. Okay, now when we discover, well actually let's go out here first, because at the same time that this is all happening, we also have, we're writing in real time or near enough real time to our SIEM device. Here it's my little syslog server, but in actual fact it could be, in an organization, it could be Splunk or ArcSight or something like that, whatever the corporate SIM is. So you can see a message has gone through saying that I've added my hack server to $demo pathway. Lots of other messages you could be filtering on potentially, but my fingerprint has changed here for that file, DEF. My watch subvolume has changed, and my netbatch properties have changed as well. So you can see that this is identified. So typically you're expecting nothing really to change, typically on a production system. When something comes through to Splunk or ArcSight or whatever, it should trigger an alert. Then I can go and examine here on my GUI and see exactly what it is that's changed. So that's all we're going to look at today. I think you can see that there's loads of reports and everything is monitored in here and audited. If I change any configuration parameters, that also is fully audited. That also will write to my SIEM device. Same if I change any user permissions and so forth. Users can be configured to be read-only or have full capabilities, and they can be added on each on a individual subsystem level. So many features in here. So the best thing to do is to get an evaluation version of this piece of software and play with it to your heart's content and check out the integrity of your system.